The Texas Department of Transportation, or TxDOT, welcomes you to the I-345 Feasibility Study Virtual Public Meeting on June 22, 2021. We appreciate your interest in the study and thank you for your participation. Please note, for the virtual public meeting, you can pause this presentation at any point to allow more time to view the slides or get a more detailed view of study information and other exhibits on the website.
Howdy, I'm John Hudspeth, Director of Transportation Planning and Development for the TxDOT Dallas District. Thank you for joining us as we conduct this virtual public event. Understanding how our projects impact communities is important to TxDOT. The following presentation will provide instruction on how you can connect with us and provide vital input about this project. We will continue to work closely with stakeholders, communities, and the public as we move forward. Thank you for your time and interest in improving our transportation system, and we look forward to receiving your comments.
Given the unique circumstances of the COVID-19 outbreak, along with our commitment to protecting our public health during this pandemic, TxDOT is conducting virtual public meetings in addition to in-person public meetings. Details on how to submit a comment and how to have your questions addressed will be covered later in the presentation. All study information can be found on the study website at www.345study.com. This virtual public meeting is being held to present information on the feasibility study process and to receive feedback from the public on the conceptual alternatives for the future of I-345. Feedback collected from this public meeting will be used as we proceed with the study. Comments will be accepted in several ways. You may fill out an online comment form, submit a written comment via email to 345study@txdot.gov, submit a written comment via U.S. mail to the TxDOT Dallas District Office, attention Travis Campbell, 4777 East Highway 80, Mesquite, Texas 75150, or leave a verbal comment via voicemail at 833-933-0432. Comments must be received or postmarked by Thursday, July 22, 2021, to be included in the public meeting summary. Comments received by July 22nd will be addressed in a summary report and posted to the study website. Questions on this study may be directed to the TxDOT Project Manager, Travis Campbell, at 345study@txdot.gov. The I-345 feasibility study limits extend along I-345 from its interchange with I-30 to the interchange with Woodall-Rogers Freeway, also known as Spur 366. I-345 is approximately 1.4 miles long and is located within the city of Dallas in Dallas County. A larger, more detailed version of this location map is available online. The study includes a four-phase approach to complete the study: define, develop, refine, and deliver. The study is currently in the develop stage. During the stage, we have developed conceptual alternatives based on feedback received from stakeholders and will present the alternatives and gather feedback. We will then move into the refine phase, where we will take your feedback from the second series of public meetings and survey, traffic data and analysis, and other information to further refine the conceptual alternatives. And finally, we will deliver the study report and a recommended alternative. We are halfway through the feasibility study process and no decision has been made for the future of I-345. The typical project development process follows the basic steps shown on the slide. We are currently at the feasibility study alternative recommendation stage. Following this stage, the recommended alternative will continue to the preliminary design schematic and environmental study stage. The goals established under the city map process included understanding how each alternative studied impacted mobility, connectivity, sustainability, and economic development. TxDOT carried forward those city map goals into the I-345 feasibility study goals. In addition to the city map goals, TxDOT added the following goals for the I-345 feasibility study: have an inclusive, transparent, and collaborative public involvement process, work collaboratively with stakeholders, review recommendations from previous studies, provide the best solution that maintains safety, mobility, and operability, defendable results, incorporate TxDOT and community goals, and work towards a recommended alternative. The study's constraints map is used to help planners and engineers determine the least impactful method to fulfill the goals and objectives of the study. The design team carefully considers social and environmental constraints within a half-mile buffer on either side of I-345 during the study process. The full map can be viewed on the study website. TxDOT held a series of 3 public meetings to introduce the I-345 feasibility study in December 2019. The meetings also served to solicit feedback from stakeholders regarding their use of I-345, travel habits, priorities, and suggested improvements. The following information shown on the slide is an overview of what was learned and taken into consideration when developing alternatives. The key takeaway from the first round of public meetings is that based on public input, there was still interest in all of the alternatives presented in CityMap. In 2020, the study team held one-on-one listening sessions with various stakeholder groups that included elected officials, neighborhood groups, civic associations, and other agencies. The list continues to grow, and we would appreciate your feedback to add any additional contacts for listening sessions. Ongoing coordination with these stakeholders will continue through the end of the study. The most commonly mentioned themes during the stakeholder meetings are listed on the slide. Based on stakeholder feedback, TxDOT has developed 5 conceptual alternatives, including a no-build, leave I-345 as is alternative, depressed alternative, removal alternative, elevated alternative, and a hybrid alternative. The following slides will provide a brief description of each alternative and display a conceptual rendering. Visit the study website to see the roll plots of each alternative and typical sections. Included on the roll plots is the existing and proposed typical sections, exhibits to visualize existing access points and cross-street connections, and various design details. All conceptual alternatives can accommodate the DART D2 subway line as currently designed. Please see the no-build, leave I-345 as is conceptual alternative rendering displayed on the slide. Under this scenario, no additional improvements would occur to the existing I-345 other than maintenance. Please see the depressed conceptual alternative rendering displayed on the slide. Under this scenario, similar to US 75, main lanes are low with discontinuous frontage roads along either side and cross streets over the top. The city street grid is enhanced and includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities along the frontage roads and local streets. Please see the removal conceptual alternative rendering displayed on the slide. Under this scenario, the existing main lanes would be removed and the city street grid is enhanced. This alternative includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities. Please see the elevated conceptual alternative rendering displayed on the slide. Under this scenario, the roadway would be similar to what exists now, with the smaller footprint of an elevated highway with aesthetic improvements, revised access and signage for drivers, enhanced city street grid, and pedestrian and bicycle facilities under the highway. Please see the hybrid conceptual alternative rendering displayed on the slide. Under this scenario, the roadway is similar to US 75 and the proposed depressed alternative, where main lanes are low. There is limited access from the main lanes to the local streets that are reconnected over the top and no proposed frontage road. Access to the area is from local streets, I-30, or Woodall-Rogers Freeway. This alternative would enhance the city street grid and provide pedestrian and bicycle facilities along the local streets. The traffic approach process is shown on the slide. The graphic displays how the traffic data for each alternative has been analyzed and the process for refining alternatives. The traffic model consists of the study area that includes the macro traffic model limits and the downtown loop or the micro traffic model limits, and the latest updates to adjacent corridors like SM Wright, I-30 improvements, and the DART D2 subway line. An exhibit showing a few of the over 100 traffic counts that were taken in 2018 and used to calibrate the traffic model are also available for review on the study website. An important part of the I-345 feasibility study is understanding where people are coming from and where they are going to. The graphic shown on the slide provides an example of an origin and destination route and a brief explanation of what origin and destination traffic data is and how it correlates to the I-345 feasibility study. See the study website for a larger version of the exhibit. Origin and destination data represent movement through a geographic space from an origin or a starting point to a destination or an ending point. The data is based on zones as outlined in the map within the study area. TxDOT does not know exactly where a trip originates or is destined. TxDOT respects the privacy of the traveling public. There are additional origin and destination exhibits on the study website that provide the data for specific origin and destination routes within the study area. Each exhibit includes a key takeaway that summarizes the travel pattern of current users of I-345. The traffic volume analysis demonstrates where traffic is expected to increase or decrease within the area shown in green on the slide. Models representing study area travel patterns were used to evaluate changes in the routes used. These models are known as travel demand models or microsimulation models. Exhibits displaying the percent change in traffic volumes with each build alternative compared to the no-build leave I-345 as-is alternative are on the study website. Future 2045 traffic volumes were used. Each exhibit includes takeaways that summarize impacts to travel patterns. The graphic shown on the slide details the alternative evaluation process. The initial alternatives were developed during the Dallas City Map process, which was completed in 2016. The study is currently presenting the preliminary alternatives that have been developed since CityMap. The next steps include evaluating the preliminary alternatives and refining the selected alternatives prior to the next series of public meetings. Ultimately, the study will recommend an alternative that will move forward to the schematic environmental phase. The evaluation process begins with the development of 4 preliminary conceptual build alternatives and the no-build leave I-345 as-is alternative. The purpose of this evaluation of alternatives is to compare the alternatives to the no-build leave I-345 as-is and identify those that would best achieve the study goals. See the study website for a larger version of the evaluation matrix. The following categories were identified as the initial basis or criteria for evaluating the alternatives: mobility, connectivity, sustainability, economic development, and cost. Other criteria will be added to the evaluation matrix as we receive feedback from public meetings and stakeholder coordination as the study progresses. The results of the preliminary alternative comparisons are shown in the slide. The criteria rating scale used in this comparative evaluation of alternatives includes 5 levels of degree called Harvey balls. Harvey balls are small pie charts or ideograms used to visualize qualitative information commonly used for comparison. Harvey balls have been used to depict to what degree a specific item meets the requirements of a criterion. The ranking system for the Harvey balls is shown on the table. Guiding principles and concepts developed by the City of Dallas have assisted with the development of this complex study. The City of Dallas requested that the design criteria be applied to the scenarios that TxDOT developed for future improvements or reconstruction of I-345. The criteria were developed with the goal of incorporating safety, environmental sustainability, economic vitality, and housing considerations as part of all scenarios. The design principles are displayed in the slide. As mentioned earlier, comments will be accepted in 4 ways, which are outlined on the slide. The public comment period for this public meeting ends on Thursday, July 22nd. All statements, comments, and questions will be given careful consideration. As a reminder, all comments must be received or postmarked by Thursday, July 22nd, 2021 to be included in the official public meeting documentation. Questions on this study may be directed to the TxDOT Project Manager, Travis Campbell, at 345study@txdot.gov. We sincerely appreciate your participation and interest concerning the proposed design of the I-345 feasibility study. Your questions, comments, and concerns will receive careful consideration. Thank you. This concludes the presentation.